year did you get busted for the serious offense where you had to do some serious time?
1992. Took me almost 2 years in LA County fighting it. I was facing life. I got 36 to life. Right away, they dropped it down to 15 to life. Then I got down to 15 years, and I picked up an extra year in a riot. So landed doing 8 years off the 16 years. I actually have a thing where every Valentine since I was about 12 years old, I would get arrested. Didn't matter what I was doing, where I was at, I was going to jail. I paroled on Valentine's Day in 2000, and I never been back. I hit a Corcoran 4-yard, B. It was a 3 and a 4. I hit B. From there, I went up to Centinela. Centinela opened up. I was there for a few years, B yard. Then I went to the whole ADSEG, and then I went to D yard. That's when my appeals came through, and they dropped my time, so I lost all my points. So they shot me down to a level 2 CRC. And then the day before I paroled, they took me to the hole for validation and released me from Chino.
So going from a level 4 and then getting your points reduced down to a level 2 after your appeal went through, what was the difference in terms of environment?
It was more loose. I'm not saying I got loose, but it was more loose in the system, like not as structured. Level 4, level 3, there's repercussions for things. The level 2, it was just like everybody running around doing whatever they wanted to do. No respect. And then it was in the dorm living. I had a lot of problems struggling with it because I came from cell living to dorm living, but at the same time, it was a lot closer for my wife and easier for my wife. And the way my thinking was like, I have to get used to this because I'm cutting out. So I might as well try to adjust now. So I adjusted as much as I could in CRC. But it was rough. One thing you learn like in the county, and I got back into that real quick, is you being able to get into your shoes straight out of a dead sleep. Like you would place your shoes in a certain position, so when something jumps, you could just jump straight into your shoes and it's on. You still be half asleep and fighting. Just, they had a lot of little riots in CRC. The dorm living, there was a lot of little riots. People playing the music loud, the TV's loud, yelling, screaming, playing dominoes loud, just whatever, it was just wild. So I just try to stay to myself as much as possible. I didn't want to be involved with all that little crap they were dealing with. 2007 was my first EPRD, earliest possible release date. That's, I guess, before you go see the board. That was in 2007.
And that wasn't guaranteed because they could have denied you.
Yeah, that wasn't guaranteed. That was just the first time you're going to go to board.
And so it must have been like, well, how did you feel like when your appeal went through and your release date switched to 2000, now it's not 2007 into life? Do you feel relieved? You happy?
Well, I was in Centinela when my appeals came through. I still didn't believe it. They actually were going to process me out in 1997. They were going to process me out because my points had dropped, everything was coming down. They took me to the R&R. I just left on my car because I was like, they're letting me out. Oh, hell, all right. So they denied me. Oh, you still got another year. I'm sorry, go back. And then I had pickup write-ups, little stuff. So I had a little more time to do. So when they were releasing me out of CRC, well, they took me to Chino overnight, and then they brought me back to CRC to release me to R&R. And they had this little cell, not a cell, but like a little cage area, and I wouldn't come out. They had to cell extract me and take me out because I wouldn't leave. I was like, I ain't going nowhere. You guys ain't gonna let me out. Because in my mind, I still had life. I was like, I'm not gonna get out. I had already went through that process of thinking I'm never getting out of here. So when they were releasing me, I was really scared. You know, I jumped in the car with my wife. I told her, get out of here before they take me. They may realize they made a mistake. So I was a little, you know, it wasn't, I didn't really believe it until the day I got out. But the majority of the time I ran around with the guys from like East Los or San Gabriel Valley. I didn't really run around with the Valley car too much. I grew up out there, so I was familiar with their area, the way they acted, the way they did things. That's who I ran around with. I wasn't really too wild-like for a couple reasons. One, because my neighborhood was new and we were pissing everybody out because we were just doing whatever we want. We're gangbanging against everybody pretty much. Anybody that came across our path, we got into it with them. My estilo or my style was a little bit different because I was running around in LA. I was running around with guys from LA, San Gabriel Valley, because that's where we grew up a lot. I live in the San Gabriel Valley, Almonte and all that area. East LA, we grew up in that area. So me coming to Burbank was a whole lot different. I got along with my homies, but it's funny, outside my neighborhood, I didn't know. And we didn't run around in the Valley back in the days. We ran in LA. We didn't run over here. So them getting there with the Valley cars was a little bit different than when I grew up.
You think it's still the same or has it changed?
No, it's changed. Now all these guys all these youngsters run around in the Valley. They are all up in North Hollywood, Pacoima, San Fernando. They're all over the place over here. They don't go to LA just like we used to.
And I guess it's more structured probably now than it was in the 90s when you were in there, in terms of the cars?
Yeah, I think it is some. When I went in, it was no sagging of the pants. You couldn't have a fade. You couldn't have a ponytail. You couldn't. There were certain things you couldn't do. You couldn't listen to rap music. Before I got out, it had completely changed. Everybody was doing whatever the hell they wanted. It was like, okay, I just stayed doing what I was doing, what I got used to, what I got schooled on. That's the way I stayed.
That's interesting. On a level 4, the Mexicans were not allowed to listen to rap music back then.
No, they were. That was one of the first things they told me. I walked in and they were like, okay, come here, youngster. I'm like, what's up? You're not allowed to do this. I want you to stay away from the gambling. You gamble and you get caught up, it's on your own. No homosexuals, no this, no that. Got it.
But nothing against drug use?
No, that was more of a preference. There was certain drugs you weren't allowed to use. I guess glass was coming out at the time, speed. So people weren't really allowed to use speed because I guess it wigs you out more. But it's, I really try not to stay too much in the drugs. I did get high a little, but it wasn't like an everyday thing with me.
Thanks for watching StreetTV.net. If you're not subscribed, please hit that button below and click the bell to receive alerts and notifications. Feel free to comment below so you can give us your feedback, and be sure to watch the 2 related episodes to the right. If you want to support this platform or follow us on social media, visit the links in the description. And thanks for watching StreetTV.net.